compared this strange phenomenon of playing well only on the last drive of a game and winning the game to Doug Flutie. And I went back and looked. It was the year of the Music City Miracle. Flutie, I think, had 3 fourth-quarter comebacks that year. And he was terrible otherwise. But there's a better comparison for this early in a career. And it ain't a good one, but somebody came up with it. They texted you, Folsey?
They called in.
Because it's actually brilliant, and It's Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow did nothing in his NFL career. His second year was his first season as a starter.
In January.
Well, no, but he actually set an NFL record. 6 game-winning drives, comeback wins in his first 11 starts. That was an NFL record. This dude would do nothing for all of a game and then win it late. It was like the Tebow magic. It was the best figure among quarterbacks since 1970 in their first 11 starts. Pickett has 5 comebacks in 17, so he's got to be up there too. It's unreal. But there's a couple of problems here, Ron. One, I was going back and reading a story about Tebow. The first problem is, in order to achieve a comeback, you got to be losing in the fourth quarter.
Right.
That's problem one. Problem two is that Tebow stunk the whole rest of the time. And yet, I would argue that Tebow, at this point in his career, was a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett.
Well, I mean, Tebow is one of the greatest college players of all time. That is not hyperbole. He is one of the greatest college football players of all time. And he played quarterback in college.
Right, but I'm not talking about college.
No, but you said where he had coming out of college, where they were in comparison.
No. Well, if I did, I didn't mean that.
Okay,
I meant at this point.
That's what I meant. That's what I heard you say.
Okay, at this point in their pro careers.
Right.
Tebow was doing more to help his team win than Pickett is right now.
Okay.
Tebow was below 50% completion percentage, which is unbelievable, in 2011. You might remember what he did to the Steelers, as you mentioned.
One particular January day. I was there and still can't believe it.
He had 12 touchdowns and 6 picks, so double his touchdowns to picks, threw minimal touchdowns, just like Pickett, had 5 game-winning drives that year, and he also ran for 660 yards and 6 touchdowns. So I would make the argument that he was doing more then to help the Broncos than Pickett is right now. Is that fair?
I think that's fair.
Folsey, fair?
It's fair.
And it's very similar.
It stings, but it's fair.
Here's guys that were drafted later on in the first round. I believe Tebow right at the end of the first round.
Wasn't he in the 20s?
Yeah, I think so. And this is their second year. Tebow's completion percentage, because he couldn't throw a football, which is problematic for a quarterback, was below 50, but it's not like Pickett's lighting the world on fire here. And again, he had 12 touchdown passes and 6 picks in 11 starts. So he was averaging a touchdown pass per start. I don't believe Pickett is he? In his career?
No, I don't believe. I think he had 8 last year. What's he have this year? Couple?
And did Tebow have rushing touchdowns with that too?
I said, yeah, six rushing touchdowns.
You know, he could run. He was a great athlete. He could have been a tight end if he'd pursued it.
So I guess, and plus, Tebow had a passer rating of 73 that year. What's Pickett's passer rating right now this season? It ain't good. I know that.
Is it 67 or 70?
Let's see here. Pickett he's actually at 78.8, so he's in the 70s too.
A little higher than I thought.
And he has 5 touchdowns and 4 picks. Last year, 7 and 9. So, you know, it's actually frightening. And maybe the moral to the story is that game-winning comebacks or game-winning drives, comebacks, whatever, in a small sample size don't necessarily indicate long-range success.
Greatness. No, I think that's a fair assessment, although they're in their own right, even in a small sample size, they are impressive because those are the weighty moments.
But then you get to how much did you do to create the weighty moment in the first place?
Yeah, exactly. Or how little did you do to avoid a weighty moment?
Yeah, that's what I wonder. It is impressive, and I actually believe Tebow did have a clutch gene. I do. Like if I had a final drive and I needed somebody out there to get something, anything done to win a ball game, yeah, fine. But what about the first 58 minutes when they don't score a touchdown?
Right.
And
Tebow was quickly out of the league.
And I'm worried about Pickett in that sense. I'm worried about him knowing that he has probably a horrible coordinator, certainly no better than average to below average, and a leaky offensive line, no real running game, things like that. I know it's hard to tell, but to me, Ron, that's the most legit comparison I've heard. Not in style of play, but in what they've done to this point in their careers. Pickett and Tebow. Like it or not out there, it's very legit.
And Tebow didn't last long in the league, did he? He did not last long. Hopefully that won't be the case with Pickett.
Tim Tebow went 19 for 47 in that playoff game. Was 19 of 47. 40% completion percentage.
But he pulled it out
But he
late.
completed the one he needed.
He hit the one he needed on the very first play of overtime.
But what a great example, by the way, also of why are you in that position in the first place? Well, largely because you were horrible. So congratulations for winning it in a way.
But play better.
But why were you in that position?
Right. Play better. Play better early.
What do you think of that comparison, Folsey? And does that give you long-range concern?
Well,
I think it's very, very legit. Tebow's still only 36. He could still be in the league if he had been any good.
Well, he tried baseball. He tried tight end.
If he'd have tried tight end out of college, he'd have been.
Yeah,
he'd
maybe.
still be maybe playing in the NFL.
Maybe.
I have him as 10 for 21 against the Steelers.
I'm sorry, that was combined. 19 for 47 combined in that postseason. So he was 10 of 21 against the Steelers.
10 of 21 for
Pretty
two
good.
touchdowns and 125 rating.
2 TDs, 125 rating. I was there and I can't believe it. Although the Steelers were banged up, they lost like 6 guys in that game. I think Kiesel went out. The Steelers would not have won the next week if they'd have won that game. But it still was unbelievable.
I remember watching a game of Tebow's that year against the Bears. He was 21 of 40. I'm looking at it right now and was just, I can't think of a word far beyond dreadful. But then it came down to the final drive. He took him right down the field.
Now, what gives you more hope for Kenny Pickett, of course, is that he can throw the ball, you would think,
more accurately
and more consistently than Tim Tebow ever did at the NFL level.
Yes, but so has everybody else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So it gives you hope that he can be more than just what Tebow was of being awful for 3.5 quarters. And
I certainly hope so. But that's what keeps Tomlin up every day, right? Apparently,
every day of my life, he says.
Every day of his life, and it's not like Pickett is lighting it up from a completion percentage standpoint either. What is he in the league, Folsey? Is he in the top 30? Yes, he is, Joe. He's 30th at 59.7. Man, if you're completing less than 60% of your passes in 2023 in the NFL,
you ain't going to win very much.
Something is very wrong. And again, I have scheme and coordinator attached to everything I say about Pickett.
True.
But something is very wrong. A guy like Sam Howell in Washington's at 68%. The best guys are over 70.
You said he's under like 32nd, 30 in the league. There's not many worse.
When you're below Desmond Ridder, things are very bad. When you're below Josh Dobbs and Ryan Tannehill and even the great Aiden O'Donnell and Zach Wilson, things are not going well.
For? I don't even know.
Vegas. He came into one game.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where that leaves us, Folsey, but it's a brilliant comparison.
It is.
People may hate it at 412-928-9370, but it's very, very hard to deny because I remember that season. And it was Tebow sort of glorified for these fourth quarter heroics, and he was out of the league in a year.
Yeah.
The most fourth quarter comebacks in the history of the league through 11 starts. Isn't that unbelievable?
Now, again, though, if we're just taking Tim Tebow against Kenny Pickett, clearly there's a difference in how they throw the football.
Yeah.
But as far as results right now, I mean, Kenny Pickett, for the most part, in the first 3 quarters of a game, not very good.
Let's put it this way. If you took a second-year Tebow and put him on this year's Steelers or put Pickett on those Broncos, I think you'd be looking at the same record.
Maybe.
Tebow had a winning record. He was 8-6 that year. He won a playoff game.
They couldn't wait to replace him, though.
Right.
Now,
'Cause they
John
knew he was
Elway,
terrible.
Is that when they brought in Manning? Is that when they brought in
Yes.
Peyton?
After that, yeah.
They could not wait to replace him.
Because they knew he was terrible.
And I don't get that same sense with Pickett. Like, there are times where I'm like, Pickett is playing awful right now, but I don't think that he is a terrible
You don't say
quarterback.
terrible.
Yes.
Terrible, as Charles Barkley would say. Terrible.
Man, I got asked in the mailbag,
Intergalactically red?
yeah,
Here to Uranus.
about what's going on, or about I got asked about Pickett, and they say, when are they going to replace him? I think people around the league, maybe nationally, are starting to look at this for sure, and I even think locally, like what exactly do they have here? And like I said, season number 2 for Pickett starts Sunday. I'm as curious as anybody to see how this turns out.
Yeah. I'm not to the point where I'm thinking they need to look to replace him. I'm not even close to that yet.
Me neither.
But let's see what happens the rest of the year. Maybe at the end of the year, I might be a little closer to that point, although I still think they got to go with them next year and make sure what they got.